Hi, I'm back to continue my discussion about the pros on the plan that I have developed. I believe I was discussing about building and preserving relationships while promoting the well-being of students and staff. I feel my plan does that because it involves the community and it addresses needs that need to be discussed. And if there is issues that parents have or they feel a mistrust with the staff, or that things could be improved, those are things that as an administrator I would want to know, so we can evaluate as to whether or not it is a real problem and it is something that can be addressed. Then I also believe that communicating through multiple measures makes this plan more successful, trying to think about our diverse populations and different ways that we can involve them all in this collaborative process. It can easily be reflected on. As we go through, I believe that my parent committee is okay being vocal, and so I think that will allow us to reflect on these processes. I do want to include more with teachers being involved in that reflective process too, because this isn't just parents come in and tell us how to do our job. This is, hey, what do you feel like? What are we doing and what could we be doing better in both ways? I think we all have areas that we can always improve on. I do think my plan addresses the root of the problem rather than just developing a different process for talking about back to school night. It addresses the root problem of parents desiring better communication and involvement. Some of the cons that my plan includes is it could be very time consuming. That's why I feel like decision-making process as well as norms being established could help with that. I'm afraid that teacher autonomy might be lost. There might be some teachers who feel very offended that parents would be part of this process. It might also challenge my own personal vision and what I view as my own personal educational philosophy that might be challenged through what we discover through survey results as well as teacher input. And then also the possibility of not solving the problem at all. The committee might be completely resistant to all of this process and try to dig their heels in which might make it more difficult to have a collaborative problem-solving process and to increase school improvement if that is the case. So, considering how to develop this plan a little bit further, as the principal, I must utilize the knowledge that I have learned and reflect on what is the best decision for this specific case. So kind of reflecting throughout this course and the courses that I've taken before I was a principal, I think about communication forms and processes. I want to make sure that I'm using multiple formats so that I can reach all of my stakeholders in whatever communication realm works best for them. I also want to establish processes that are followed and communicate those out as well. I feel that this plan will promote community engagement as it invites all stakeholders to engage in the process and it listens to their needs as well. I think this plan will help me to better understand my community, to kind of learn where they're coming from and maybe if there's some things that have happened that I am unaware of as a principal that I need to be aware of. I think it will help me to better understand that. That will lead me to cultivating better relationships with our stakeholders, and hopefully the teachers as well will come along with that process too. I think it establishes a culture of collaborative engagement where we're supporting the success of all students and their well-being. When we make it the norm to talk about hard things, it just creates a culture in which it becomes easier to do those things and things don't pile on top of one another and bring us to the place that we're at right now where there hasn't been that open line of communication. When we consider internal and external publics that are involved in this process, it does provide opportunity for increased communication in all of those different realms. Me with the superintendent and the board, parents with the board, parents with teachers, me with teachers. It just really provides that opportunity to increase that level of communication transparency. I think it could enhance the plan by engaging stakeholders and sharing additional needs to the support and success and well-being of students and staff. Kind of as I was reflecting on how to develop that, that was one thing that I didn't involve in my original action plan that I think would be beneficial, because it would be opening that door for not just what the parent committee has said is the issue, it opens the door to share all of their needs. And then also, I think I can enhance the plan by sharing agendas for meetings in advance. That gives any of the stakeholders opportunity for processing. I also think it would be good to share those agendas with all of the stakeholders, all of the teachers, so then we always know what is being discussed. So if there's a specific realm that someone is more passionate about than others and really wants to be involved in that process, they would be allowed to, and they would know when that is happening. But that's both teachers and parents included. Then when I think about the implementation of this plan, what am I actually going to do to make this happen? I have to reflect on the plan and how it will be implemented and if it can be. Because sometimes we have great ideas on paper that just are really hard to implement. So I would kind of just start with the beginning of my action plan. I'd research the current policies and processes. I'd try to obtain more information while still maintaining those relationships and kind of just owning my own mistakes and saying, hey, when we were having these discussions in the spring, I should have asked more questions and been okay with hearing results that might not set well with me at first, or might not be what I believe to be happening within my own building, but that's the only way that we will get better and we will grow closer and have better community involvement. Definitely establishing norms and processes, if they have not already been established, is huge. I think that is the only way that multiple people can be involved in these processes. Including in those norms, legal and ethical issues always being addressed, and just kind of following a very similar decision-making process that has been established before in other building administration classes, and then communicating those out with stakeholders. So then that way, if we have someone show up to one parent committee meeting, they are aware of the process in which that happens. Much like at board meetings, there is an open time slot for public comment, just understanding that, hey, we do have these norms that we have to follow, and you won't be allowed to just come in here and tear the place up and be very disrespectful and not follow those norms that we have established. I have to also analyze the information. Then I want to survey all stakeholders, including the space for open comments, and then collaborate to analyze these results with the parent committee, as well as involving teachers in that process, and then identifying which needs are the highest. I do feel as though, because of the time sensitivity of the parent back to school night, that would be the first thing that would need to be addressed, and then maybe prioritizing information or needs after that. Then also communicate and address needs while utilizing those norms and the decision-making process. And also establish consequences for those who don't abide by norms and processes and enforce them. I have been part of many things as a principal where sometimes those are not enforced, and when I have failed to do so, the structure fails. And so I have to make sure that I am enforcing those, and stakeholders, teachers, we are all aware of what will happen if we don't abide by those. Then I also believe that this is a plan we can complete annually. And so sending out that needs survey, I feel like it'd be more productive to send it at the end of the year, just kind of as a reflective process. And it would allow the summer to kind of dissect through that information with the parent committee and maybe more proactively make changes when necessary throughout the summer. My only concern with that then would be teachers not being contracted for that time, and I would definitely want to include them in that process, so I'd have to just kind of see how the first year went and then reflect after that. And then I also want to consider higher teacher involvement. So those are the ways in which I would handle this case study. Thanks for listening.